the night I saw it. You ever hear an urban legend so many times that it stops being scary? You hear it as a kid, passed down from someone older, maybe an older sibling, a friend, or some guy at a party who swears it's true. And at first, it gets to you. But then, as you grow up, you start seeing the cracks in the story, the inconsistencies. You tell yourself, it's just a legend. I used to think that way, too, until the night I saw it. I grew up in a small town, one of those places where nothing ever happens, and the only thing people have to talk about are the past and the dead. And, of course, the stories. Every town has its own legend, right? Ours was called the Hollow One. Nobody knew where the story started, but everyone knew the rules. Never walk alone at night near the woods. That if you hear footsteps behind you, don't turn around. That if you see it, run. Sounds simple enough. And, of course, I thought it was complete nonsense. Kids dared each other to go near the forest, tried to scare each other with fake noises, the usual. It was just a game, but people did go missing. Not often enough to make national news, but enough for whispers. Enough for parents to warn their kids. Enough for me to remember the names of those who vanished. Faces that used to be in my classes, people I used to see at the store. I never took it seriously. Not until that night. There was an old story that used to go around, the kind people tell in hushed voices even when they claim not to believe it. It always started the same way, someone walking home late at night, usually near the woods or down an empty road. They'd hear footsteps behind them, soft at first, almost like an echo of their own steps. But when they stopped, the footsteps kept going. That was the first sign. The second, a voice. But not just any voice. People described it differently. Some said it sounded like someone they knew, calling their name. Others said it was a stranger's voice, too smooth, too perfect. One thing was always the same, the voice was never right. Like a recording played at the wrong speed. And then, the third sign. If you turned around, you'd see it. They called it the Hollow One because no one who saw its face ever came back. Those who survived only ever saw glimpses, its shape, the way it moved. Some said it was tall and thin, with limbs too long for its body. Others swore it had no face at all. The only thing they agreed on was the way it watched, always watching. The only way to survive, they said, was to run, and never, ever look back. I never believed in any of that. Not until the night I found myself walking home alone. It wasn't supposed to be like that. I had gone to a friend's house, just a small get-together, nothing crazy. I was supposed to get a ride back, but plans changed, and I figured it's not that far. Just a 15-minute walk. It was late, past midnight, and the streets were empty. The houses on my street were spaced apart, with patches of woods between them. Not enough to call it a forest, but just enough to make it feel like one when the wind moved through the trees. I walked quickly, hands in my pockets, my breath visible in the cold air. There was nothing unusual at first, just the sound of my footsteps on the pavement, the hum of a distant street lamp, the occasional rustle of leaves, and then I heard it. A second set of footsteps. At first, I thought it was just an echo, but then I noticed the rhythm was off. The steps didn't match mine. I stopped, and the footsteps kept going. I felt a cold weight settle in my stomach. My brain scrambled for a logical explanation, maybe an animal, maybe just the wind shifting the leaves. Then I heard the voice. It was distant at first, just a whisper threading through the trees, but it was saying my name. Hey, the sound was wrong, too smooth, too careful, like someone trying too hard to sound natural. Hey, wait up. It was my friend's voice, the one who was supposed to give me a ride home. But it wasn't right. The tone was close, but there was no emotion behind it. Just a perfect, hollow imitation. I turned my head slightly, not all the way, just enough to see movement out of the corner of my eye. Something was standing in the tree line. At first, it was just a shadow, but as my eyes adjusted, I saw more. It was tall, too tall. Its limbs were long, stretched unnaturally thin, and its fingers curled at the ends like hooks. It was standing still, watching me. Then it moved, not like a person, not like anything I had ever seen. Its body jerked forward, its limbs unfolding in unnatural angles. It didn't step, it slid. A single, smooth motion, like a puppet being pulled forward by invisible strings. My legs locked in place. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I just stood there, breath caught in my throat. Then it spoke again. "Hey," the voice came from behind me. Panic surged through me, breaking whatever hold it had on me. I ran. I sprinted down the street, my shoes slamming against the pavement. I didn't care where I was going. I just needed to get away. The footsteps behind me started again, not running, just walking. A slow, deliberate pace, but no matter how fast I ran, the steps never fell behind. I didn't look back. I couldn't. The stories always said, if you see its face, you're gone. My house was close. If I could just make it to the door, the voice came again, right at my ear. "Why are you running?" I felt something move beside me. A shadow stretched long in my peripheral vision. It was keeping pace with me. My vision blurred as I pushed my legs harder, lungs burning. My front porch, just a few steps away. I fumbled for my keys, nearly dropping them. The footsteps stopped. I didn't turn around. I threw myself inside and slammed the door shut. Silence. I stood there, chest heaving, my back pressed against the door. My ears rang with the absence of sound. I waited. 5 seconds. 10. Then I heard it. A soft knock. 3 slow, deliberate taps against the wood. I didn't move. My back was still pressed against the door, my breath coming in sharp, ragged bursts. The knocking had stopped. The house was silent. I reached up, slowly, and turned the lock. My fingers were shaking so badly I nearly missed it. For a long time, I just stood there, listening. Nothing. I exhaled, forcing myself to think rationally. Maybe it had been some kind of sleep-deprived hallucination. Maybe someone had followed me, some creep messing around. The mind plays tricks when you're scared. That's what I told myself. But then I saw the footprints, faint, just barely visible in the porch light. Long, thin impressions in the dirt, leading up to my door. But there was something wrong with them. They weren't human, and they weren't spaced apart like someone had walked. They were in a single, straight line, as if something had moved forward without lifting its feet. I didn't sleep that night. I kept every light in my house on, flinching at every noise outside. When morning finally came, I convinced myself it had been some elaborate prank. Maybe someone had set up footprints, played a recording, tried to scare me. That made more sense than the alternative. So I did what any sane person would do. I told someone. I called my friend, the one whose voice I'd heard. "Hey, did you come by my house last night?" He sounded confused. "No, man. I crashed early." "What?" I hesitated. "I thought I heard you." A pause. Then, "Wait, you heard me? What do you mean?" I didn't know how to answer that. Because the truth, the real truth, was too insane to say out loud. So I dropped it. Laughed it off. Told myself I was being paranoid. But then I started looking into the stories. I always thought the hollow one was just another campfire story. But as I dug deeper, I realized something. The details were always inconsistent. Sometimes it was a shadow, sometimes a pale figure, sometimes a shape in the trees. But one thing never changed. It never chased anyone. It didn't have to. Every account I found said the same thing. People who saw it never ran fast enough. Not because it was faster, but because no matter how far they ran, it was always right behind them, always walking. And the ones who disappeared, the ones who never made it home, they were the ones who turned around. That was years ago. I never saw it again. Never heard that awful, hollow voice again. But I still wonder sometimes, when I'm walking alone at night, when I hear an extra set of footsteps, when the air turns too still, too quiet, and if I ever do hear my name again, whispered in that perfect, empty voice, I won't turn around. Neither should you. Because once you see its face, you don't come back. Tell us, have you ever felt like you were being watched? Share your scariest experience in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to read more horror stories every time.